Notification volume 0%.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Blindformers. I'm your host, Blind Prime, and for today I have for you Studio Series Constructicon Scrapper. You can see Scrapper is a weird-looking guy, or can't see. He's like a mix between, well, I don't know. He's definitely odd. He's got a humanoid shape to him for sure, but he's got backwards bending knees, which a lot of them do. I guess that it's considered more menacing. On his right hand, he's actually got clamps. We're getting another clamps, and he actually has an additional benefit on the right hand of you can fold out these two smaller clamps, and it's kind of neat. And they don't exactly touch, but they get close to touching. And in his other hand, he's got a mace, which is actually a weird construction tool needed to pick up I-beams and other odd steel things that normally can't just be picked up. Hey, what are you doing? Lay down. So, let's talk about his sizing. We have Bumblebee here, and Bumblebee stands up to his midsection. Yep, about halfway up the midsection. And see this little claw thing that Scrapper has at the end of his arm, his right one, can actually go around the waist of Bumblebee, and you can kind of wrap Bumblebee's arms around. What are you doing, Cream? Cream, get, no, stop screwing with my stuff, Cream. All right, yeah, you can set him in the grip like you're picking him up. Since the arm doesn't have any ratchets, it doesn't really hold him up very well. And then you can use the mace to just beat the hell out of him. Yeah, go away, Bumblebee. All right. Sizing-wise, when he's in his crazy bent-over monstrous form like this, he doesn't stand all that tall. Because his head is so low set, we're actually going to measure him by his shoulders, which are much higher. And measuring by his head, we're just seeing as the head comes midway up the section. All right, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And he's 21 studs tall at his shoulders. About the average height for a Voyager. Usually they're between 21 and 24 when they're not deluxes in disguise. Deluxes in disguise. His head can move around pretty good, and it's definitely nightmare fuel. Now, let's talk about his transformation. So, to transform him, what you want to do is you want to move both of the shoulders and unclip them from his backpack. It's a soft click, so you don't really hear it too well. But once you've done that, raise the backpack, which has the clickety-clack joint, the ratchet joint for the actual Devastator, because this guy makes up the left arm. You can hear it now. Let's see if I can get a good grip. And hear that? Yeah. What are you doing, Cream? Cream? You can't be attacking the things I'm messing with. No. All right. Now, you push the chest forward. Cream, I swear to... And once you've pushed the chest forward, you can then push the chest forward. It's a false chest, so you can grab it on the edge and move it forward all the way on its little hinge. Once you've done that, rotate the head inside of the chest cavity that's revealed, and the head and the neck will go in, and you, oh my god, cat. You have to really shove this thing in there, because there is a good sturdy latch. Get him right. Cool. And so you rotate his head down, and then there. Hear that? That's a nice ratchet sound. I know. It sounds kind of horrible, but don't worry. It's a good noise. It's a good noise. It's really hard to get him to snap into there. Once you have snapped that in, though, you can finish rotating the backpack until it sits flush with the shoulders to make the back end of a vehicle, which is the front end loader that we are currently making. Once you have done that, go ahead and lift the, there's a cockpit on his back, which is now the top of the vehicle, and you want to make sure that it's folded up out of the way as we fold the shoulders in. And the shoulders are going to lay flat on the top of the backpack, which, well, just near enough to it. It's going to lay flat across the top of the vehicle, and we're not going to mess with the arms anymore, at least not for now. Let's move on to the legs. Now that we're at the legs, we got to do some weird stuff because these legs are weird. First off, take the bucket bit and move it away from the wheel. Once that is complete, then you want to take the wheel, the wheel that's a moving wheel and a textured wheel that is not rotatable, so a solid wheel, a faux wheel if you will, and fold that 90 degrees. Once you've folded it 90 degrees on its hinge, go ahead and push it down, and at the same time pull the long hingy thing that is attached to the scoop feeling bit that was the bottom of his foot, and push that upwards while pulling the wheel assembly all the way down on its hinge, which is the knee hinge for the robot. Now it's a hinge designed to hold the wheels steady. Once you've done that, rotate the top, or the scoopy thing, 180 degrees at its rotation point, which is right above the connection to these wheels. And you want to then follow through the process on the other side. So move that scoopy thing away, and then on that. And after you have moved it away, twist the wheel 90 degrees on its hinge, then rotate the wheel hinge thing. This one's always just a little tough. There is barely any clearance there, but you can do it. You can do it. It took me a while to figure this out. This part was a little difficult to figure out when I was working it on my own because of the fact that there's barely any room to do this. Once you've done it, once you've moved the scoopy thing and the wheel so that the scoopy thing is in front of the wheel and the wheel is behind the scoopy thing instead of vice versa, rotate the scoopy thing's arm 180 degrees, and there you have it. We are done with the legs for a moment. So now that we have done that, it's time to make some stuff happen. So first off, we're going to rotate these legs 180 degrees, or wheels 180 degrees on the waist hinge, or at his waist. So there you go. Just bring each of these legs back. Make sure that the scoopy thing arm doesn't get in the, or scoopy thing leg doesn't get in the way. And when it's done, the double back wheels, the one spinning wheel and the one faux wheel on each side should be against this ratchety bit that will become Devastator's arm. Ratchety bit, ratchety bit. Makes that beautiful noise. So once that's done, they will actually clip in with some very light connectors, but we're not clipping it in yet because we have to work on the front. It's time to scoopify him. So first off, you want to make sure that you have done everything correctly with the rotations. The problem with Studio Series, the only flaw with Studio Series, is that there is no room for error. The clasps and the way things are so small that you have to get it exactly right, and it's very difficult to force something to be right. So you're going to want to fold the scoopy thing foot. It's going to fold on a hinge and connect to itself, so it should make a little bitty scoop on right in front of each of the two front tires. All right. We just make sure that these are rotated correctly. This is going to take a bit of time. There's no real way to describe this process properly except to say what you're trying to do is set everything up so that the scoop, whenever it's constructed, will be flush with both of the wheels properly. Like it will be even on both sides, which can be a difficult process. especially since we have Mr. Clamp's right hand here, which is going to have to become part of the front of the scoop. So first off, you want to fold in the bits that make up those the side clamps. Once you have folded those bits, make sure that you folded them in correctly. There is a wrong way, believe it or not. So they just will fold in nice and neat and tidy. Now that that's happened, we want to fold the arm down with the scoopy thing. And we're not connecting it just yet because this arm that has the mallet thingy needs to also go in the same place. And this is where this figure gets its difficulty. I mean, it's been pretty interesting so far, but right now is where everything has to be precise. So you want to fold the mallet thingy in there. Make sure that you've rotated it properly so it does not get in the way of any other transformations. You can fold the mallet just slightly so that it will cover up the negative space between the two, between his hips, yeah, in his hips. So put the mallet where his crotch would be. Oh, that's terrible to say, but that's where it has to go. Once you've done that, take the clamps bit and make sure that you have flattened everything on the top, and the clamps bit is going to fold down. And this is going to be the part that is always so annoying, because if you don't fold everything correctly with this, your scoop will be misaligned. And my OCD kicks in when my scoop is misaligned. No, you just got to make sure that you don't screw up your scoop. So this the flat clamps for his right hand actually become the center of the scoop, and both of the feet that had the little bucket bits that you folded together become the outsides of the scoop. And once complete, the scoop will... Oh, did I do it right? Yes! Oh, now look at that, look at that. All right, now that you've completed that bit, make sure that you have flattened everything down, because here comes another part of this transformation that is kind of weird. And you may think you're breaking it, but you're not. So this cockpit that we have been like flipping back and forth this entire transformation is now lined up perfectly, or near perfectly, with two little bitty rectangular ports. And if you feel on the underside of the cockpit, it has two little rectangular pegs. And there's one port on each of the shoulders. This part is very important because it will hold stability for the entire figure. This part is also very difficult because of how I've talked about with the siege. Everything has to be exactly right. If you're a millimeter off, you might as well be a mile off. So you want to squeeze both of the shoulders together while pushing down on this guy and using your sense of touch and intuition to line up the pegs. It makes it easier if you can get one of them in, because if you get one of them in, the other one will pop in kind of naturally. It's really cool that way. They did design it well. It's just getting it to do what it was designed to do isn't always in the easiest task. This guy does never wants to his cockpit to snap together. But it will. It will. Don't you listen to its lies. There it goes. Do you hear that beautiful snap? There it is. It's in. You just have to move around little things. And now that it's in, the entire shovel needs to be re-clipped together. We clipped it together the first time to help stabilize the arms so that the cockpit could plug in. But once those arms are stabilized, once that cockpit is plugged in there, everything about this guy becomes a little bit easier to manage. Except, clipping in this scoop. There it goes. And one more. There you are. There you are, Mr. Scoop. Okay, move to the back of the figure, and we're going to plug in the back legs, which, because of everything we've done so far, means that the connectors for them are actually pretty close. You just need to get it exactly right. These connectors are at like a 33-degree angle or something, so it can be bit of a hassle to put them into their proper place. But once done, you have this perfectly rolling front end loader. Look at him. His scoop works, it moves up and down. It's so fun. I enjoy it. Like I said, he's my number one top favorite. Because he doesn't have much of a back area, you can even have him do wheelies. Like, oh, scooper wheelies. That's terrifying, actually. You know, if you're driving down the road in a battlefield and you see something that's supposed to be the size this thing's supposed to be, like if you measure it based on there's little ladder details on the sides, and you can kind of feel up and down them and get an image in your head of how big the person needs to be to actually run this. And then you can have an idea of how big this thing actually is. And the best way I've found to do that with all Studio Series is figure out the size of the rear view mirror. That's your clue on the scale of this thing. Yeah, right now, for instance, this is such a scale that I think it would line up well with the Gundam Universe stuff, like for scaling wise. This, you could totally have this being one of the construction vehicles building a Zeonic base in Africa or something. Anyway, let's talk about sizing. So, including the scoop from back wheels to scoop end, we have 17, 18, 19, 20. He is 20. I'm not going to... Maybe I can measure him without the scoop. Yeah, pick up the scoop just a bit. Without the scoop, he measures 16 studs long. So that gives you an idea of his measurements. Let's take a look at his width, because he's a wide guy. He is... Oh, wow. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he is 10 studs wide, where on average we've been getting 7 to 8 studs in width for anything in this series, which, by the way, viewers, I have discovered these figures, their size class is actually considered deluxe. I know, confusing. This is a deluxe figure, Cliffjumper here, but he is actually in the deluxe scale. Neat, huh? So, here's Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper's length runs from one end of the scoop to the other end of the scoop, with 1 stud to spare. We can see him on the side here. He goes all the way from the back wheels of Scrapper here to the front wheels of Scrapper here, but not even to the front hubcap. Literally covers the outside of the front wheel. Cliffjumper's small. Now, something fun I like to do with Cliffjumper here is literally just put him in the scoop. You can actually tilt him sideways or have him kind of hanging out in there. There it is. Yeah. Look at that. And then he just lower him, and then like a bulldozer. Look at this. And he rolls super well. I love the way... this guy is so much fun. He is a fun figure to get, and I recommend just getting him for the fun factor alone. He's a fun transformation. He's a difficult transformation, and he's got 2 modes that are very, very well detailed, and also are very maneuverable. They each have their own unique articulations about them, but those things help out the figure. Well, so let's give some scales on this thing, or at least ideas on stuff. Say, the complexity of this guy is definitely an 8 out of 10. With that bit that you have to rotate the front scoop and then move the wheel 90 degrees and then push the front scoop across the wheel section with barely any clearance at all to get it on the other side. That took me 3 days to figure out because I didn't have any instructions. And I'm sitting there just trying to figure out how to get him into this mode because he comes in robot mode. So that bit alone was difficult, but everything about this guy is both difficult and elegant. His fun factor is definitely an 8 out of 10, and he's got some parts that are kind of annoying, like for instance the getting this cockpit connected properly is not fun. But getting it, once you've got it connected, you can feel with this figure. Like it's just solid. Once that piece gets connected in, it just hammers down everything you've done and created a solid figure. Yeah, so fun wise, definitely 7 out of 10. He is fun. He is definitely on the high rankings of fun. Like I said before, he ranks number 1 for me in the Studio Series Devastator line because he's got all the angles to him. The only one that I would say even consider tying with him would be Long Haul, and we will be discussing him in a video in the near future. But until next Prime, I am Blind Prime, and I hope you've enjoyed my video. And please consider subscribing and sharing these videos with anyone in your life who is suffering from vision loss or who has experienced vision loss. These videos have, these Transformers have helped me, and maybe they can help the people in your life too. But until next Prime, I'm Blind Prime, and goodbye.